In this presentation, we present a new approach for defending black box classifiers for human activity recognition against adversarial attacks. Deep neural networks have been extremely popular, but also vulnerable to malicious attacks, aka adversarial attack. It has become a new field where people have successfully attacked various data in different application domains. The vulnerability has raised attention as the attack is destructive to AI but imperceptible to humans. In this paper, we focus on human activity recognition as they are widely used for many applications. Recently, human activity classifiers have proven to be extremely vulnerable and attack being deceitful. Here are some examples from our CVPR 2021 paper, one of the first work in showing the danger of adversarial attack in this domain. While the danger of human activity classifiers has been identified, the defense is largely unexplored. Existing methods include data augmentation and model robustification. However, most of them are designed for static data and suffer from the trade-off between accuracy and robustness. In this paper, we propose a new defense method called Bayesian Energy-based adversarial training, or BEAT. Compared with the prior art, BEAT explicitly models the one-to-many relations between the clean and the adversarial samples. In addition, it explicitly considers all possible classifiers which can provide similar accuracy but with varying robustness. Lastly, BEAT also comes with a post-train strategy to avoid retraining classifiers. The first motivating observation is that different attack methods provide different adversarial samples during adversarial training, shown as the red dots. This indicates there is a one-to-many mapping between one clean sample and its adversarial samples. In other words, there is a distribution of adversarial samples corresponding to one clean sample. Another observation is that there might be an infinite number of classifiers that can all perfectly classify data, but provide different robustness. As an illustration, assuming there is a distribution of adversarial samples indicated by red dots for a clean sample. Given two classifiers shown as the green and the brown boundaries, the brown one is not robust against the red dots, but the green one is robust against most of them. The two aforementioned observations led us to believe that a robust classifier should consider four sets of variables: the data, the label, the adversaries, and the classifier. So we propose to maximize the joint probability of them during training. After training, Bayesian model averaging can be used to predict a class label of a given sample X prime. This involves computing n classifiers for the same dataset and predict by averaging over all classifiers. First, we decompose the joint probability into two distributions, where the first is the clean adversarial joint distribution and the second is the model distribution. The clean adversarial joint distribution can be further decomposed into two distributions, which we model separately. This leads us to our first novelty, to jointly model the clean and the adversarial in one distribution. Based on energy-based models, any classifier can be represented as an unnormalized density function parameterized as an energy function. Here, X is the data, Y is the label, Z is the normalizing constant, G theta is any classifier parameterized by theta. Similarly, we parameterize the clean adversarial distribution as an energy function. In the numerator, the first term is the logit of X on class Y. The second term is the logit of its adversarial sample X tilde on class Y. The last term is the distance function measuring the distance between x and x tilde. The first two terms dictate that the classifier should correctly classify x and x tilde. The last term dictates that we are less likely to observe x tilde if it's too different from x. Given the clean adversarial distribution, we can easily represent the conditional probability of x tilde given x and y, which captures the one-to-many relations between them. Finally, we argue the distance function d should capture data manifold, so it should be data-specific. For skeleton-based human activity recognition, we define the similarity based on the bone length difference and the difference between many orders of derivatives on the joints. Such a d captures the motion manifold well, and the more x tilde falls out of the manifold, the more likely it is adversarial. The second novelty is that we consider all possible classifiers during training. To be able to do Bayesian model averaging, we need to learn the posterior distribution where we can sample classifiers. However, the posterior is hard to compute. First, there are usually millions of parameters in classifiers. Sampling in such a high-dimensional space is slow at best and non-convergent at worst. Even sampling is not an issue. Retraining the classifier might not be convenient or possible. Nowadays, many classifiers are trained on powerful machines and large datasets, then shared. The users might not have the same resources to retrain them. Also, retraining could jeopardize the integrity of the latent representation, which is detrimental to models based on representation learning, where the learned representations need to be used for other tasks. Our third novelty is the post-train strategy. Instead of retraining, we append the small model f parameterized by theta prime to the classifier G. F works as a boundary correction, and it is much easier to sample many possible f's than sample many g's for classification. In the end, no retraining is needed. In addition, since f is much smaller than g, the training is much faster. Last but not least, since G is intact, we keep the black boxness of beat. Our experiments were done on 3 benchmark datasets. We investigate 4 the state-of-the-art human activity classifiers. We employ 4 attack methods that are either designed for attacking human activity data or can be easily adapted. We also compare our method with the 4 types of the SOTA defense methods. Since there's no defense method for skeletal human activity data, we adapt them. The experiments were exhaustively attacking and defending every classifier on every dataset. We first show visual results pre- and post-beat training. The first row is the original clean sample. The middle row is the adversarial sample pre-beat, and the last row is the adversarial sample post-beat. It is easy to see that the perturbation in the adversarial sample post-beat is easily noticed, thus less likely to fool human. We also show the behavior of the loss gradient of beat with respect to the number of classifiers used. We plot the loss gradient components in the left figure and their percentage of being nearly zero on the right. Since the loss gradient has been mostly relied for attack, diminishing loss gradient will make attack harder. As can be seen, when we use up to 7 classifiers, the majority of the loss gradient components become nearly zero. The nearly zero loss gradient provides the robustness of beat. Next, we compare the defense performance. Each row here is from one dataset, and each column corresponds to one victim classifier. In each figure, the vertical axis is the attack success rate, and the horizontal axis is the strength of the attack. The green curve represents standard training, which quickly goes near 100% when no defense is performed. However, even with the existing defense method, the attack success rate still becomes high when the attack is strong. Comparatively, beat, shown by the red curve, can achieve good defense across all scenarios. We also show a more detailed comparison with one baseline trade on NTU60 with the victim SGN. The left figure shows results with increasing defense strength shown by the horizontal axis. The classification accuracy drops from 82.3 to 65.8 in trades, but beat doesn't compromise the accuracy. In the middle, we plot the attack success rate against the attack strength shown on the horizontal axis and the defense strength shown by colors. As the defense strength becomes higher, the attack success rate indeed becomes lower for trades, but still far from beat. In the right, we show a zoomed-in plot for the first 200 iterations of attack. After 80 iterations, trades becomes systematically worse in all defense strengths. In summary, we have proposed the first defense method, beat, for skeleton-based human activity recognition. Beat provides a high robustness, it can be trained fast, and keep the classifier intact. Beat is also effective across datasets, attackers, and classifiers. Adversarial attack and defense on human activity recognition is a new subfield starting from 2021. We have shared our recent work in this topic, including code and resources, on the website. In future, we will investigate the theoretical reasons of the vulnerability of time series data and classifiers, and explore other manifold representations to extend beat. Finally, thanks for watching, and thanks for our collaborators and funders. This project has received funding from CrowdDNA, a EU project funded by Horizon 2020 program.